This is issue number 9 of the Black Panther, aka issue 206, as it indicates at the top there. I love Marvel for doing their legacy numbers, and when I'm not jittery, it will focus like that. 206. John Ridley is the writer. I use that term very loosely, not a fan of this man's writing. The very beginning write up explains exactly why I'm not very much of a fan of him. They characterize T'Challa as if he's this guy responsible for all the chaos. He's not allowed in Wakanda anymore because of what he did, because of what he started. And I'm like, wait a minute, isn't Akili from the Hurtut Araz her that thing? Isn't he the guy who was going to the extreme? Didn't we establish that? Didn't Foldashade, the prime minister, which they said they're gonna have a democracy while the monarch was away, and decided that, but like, even she was like, oh no, it's definitely that guy who was part of our forces and he went too extreme. Oh, that was the guy, right? Then they characterized him as the bad guy. And then we go over here to where he's just sitting, chilling, talking, and asking himself life questions about how what happens after you die. And I'm like, well, doesn't this guy have a religion? Isn't that like what Bast? Wasn't there like an ancestral plane in the movie? I don't know if that they adapted that from the comic, a comic in the past. But isn't he the king of the dead? Like, this guy isn't thinking of his time on Earth as like finite. I don't think John Ridley knows the character enough to write this character. He speaks to Steven. I like the way he continues to call Steve Rogers Steven. And they mentioned something about Doctor Strange dying. And I don't know. The way that they speak to each other here, of course, has always been an issue with the writing here in the comic book. The Avengers Mountain is still intact, even though the Avengers vs. X-Men vs. Eternals event is going on. I can forgive that just because it just happened with the Avengers Mountain being alive all over again. That's like whatever. I think this comic was delayed for paper shortage issues or whatnot. In comes Thor, in comes Captain Marvel, but not Doctor Strange, because they did make a note to remind us the death of Doctor Strange happened and he's not in here. Those three Avengers I just mentioned now, they were part of issue number 1, where it just felt like there was some sort of a random team of aliens fighting the Avengers, and they're like, yeah, let's just vanish to them and we'll win. We're going to follow up on that, which to me is, it's always cool to follow up on old things, even if it's like only 9 issues ago. And it means even more to me because John really is going to be dealing with something self-contained, not really affecting anywhere else, which is like, because I don't believe in his writing, is good that he's only going to make a mess in this little sandbox here and, you know, do whatever you want with those villains that you invented. Sure. These are the villains. As we could see from the cover that was advertised a few months ago, there's these like holographic elephants and all these animals. The people seem to be enslaved by that colonist there. You see, the thing is, he's an alien. He's gonna call Earth the third orb because, like, planet Mercury, Venus, and I was gonna say Sailor Earth. Sailor Moon has educated me on the order of the planets from the sun, but he calls it that because he's foreign, right? That's what you would say. That's good writing. However, his way he's dressed isn't very good, because if these are customs, this suit and tie, that's something that's a person who is like earthly would wear. That's a professional looking dress specific to our planet. He shouldn't be wearing those clothings if he's from a foreign, like literally another planet. The way he speaks to these guys, there was a fun, and I consider it fun, but a nicknaming where everyone on the internet seems to not like it, but he referred to Thor and Captain America as like Lieutenant something, and Captain Marvel was Captain Spicy, and T'Challa was Negro Feline, and Thor was like the Aryan King. Okay, here's the thing. Nicknaming people is fun and cool, you know. Negro Feline, I get it. It's a little twist on things. But when he called Thor what he called him, I'm like, bro, how do you even know that word? Like, you're foreign to this land. How do you know? You came here and you already learned about that stuff? That is bizarre to me. He's a bad guy. He's got these women who are under his control, and they really want out, and they're just like servitude. We recognize that what he does, and by going planet to planet, even when we ask him to leave, he still returns, and he does that to like take ownership, and we know that's a bad thing. I'm like, bro, you have a democracy running in. Go solve that. Like, you're supposed to be the monarch and the king and supposed to run things. and you're allowing other people to make decisions, and it's really slow and bogged down, and you took part and participated in these events, and you're losing your country to, I guess, corruptible forces. You as T'Challa know you're not a corrupt person. You know you're the king. You know you've gotten Wakanda through all of the years of Wakanda that you've gotten Wakanda through, and you need to get on top of that and solve that, because right now what's happening, what you think is happening over here to this land in my little intestine, Texas, what you think is happening on that city is happening to Wakanda. It's being taken over by forces that are not you, and you are the good guy. Like he's a superhero. Remember that. Remember T'Challa's a superhero. So here come the Mounties, and there's a little bit of funny scripting between Captain Marvel and Captain America, and they attack. Don't worry about it though. There's a cool image where Thor, where Captain America, and where Captain Marvel share a screen. Where is it? Here it is. This is at the very bottom. You see that? That is an amazing image of those three. Big fan of those three. T'Challa's gonna say something extremely stupid to himself in these text boxes right here. He's gonna be like, "Oh, so this is where it all starts, and here I am once again, where I started." I gotta stop shaking. No hesitating. The problem is when he says, "Here I am once again where I started," what he's referring to, what I believe, is the comic book that came out called issue number 1. Now, to you and I, that's where this volume started of John Ridley. Does T'Challa fictionally know that another writer started writing his story, just 8 issues ago? No. Has no place in a comic book. Yeah, it's where it all started. For him, where it all started was the day he became king, when he became the Black Panther. Maybe the day he joined the Avengers. Here I am, where it all started. That's what he would be thinking to himself. He wouldn't be thinking about it because there's a new writer on his story, because he doesn't know that. He's actually a real person within this 616 continuity and doesn't think the way that we think. That's a fourth wall breaking power that T'Challa doesn't actually own. Bad writing, again. Just even mentioning that a few months ago he left the Avengers was stupid. I think that the time in comic books moves really slowly. We've kind of condensed comics from the 60s to comics to now into this little short time. So why even eliminate him from the Avengers if he was just going to join the very next story? Why act like he's been gone for months when really he's been gone for a few days? Think about the story from the beginning, okay? He's got a little sleeper agent, so that's one day, and he goes and visits that sleeper agent who died in like Cuba. So that's that travel. He visits a second sleeper agent. Okay, he gets attacked. Then he travels back to Wakanda. Let's give that 3 days. And Wakanda, he kind of has a meeting. So that happens on the 4th day, and that's where he gets arrested and then he escapes. And that all happens in one day itself. Like he calls. Let's say there's one day where he was out on the wild and he called out Akili, and then he killed Akili. Let's say 5 days passed. Did I forget anything in there? Yeah, I did forget something when he meets up with Gentle, Storm, and Aurora back up in Mars. So Mars is a 2-day trip, okay? The whole story happened in a week. So don't tell me like months and a long time passed since he last spoke with Steven. Lots changed. He's been kicked out of the Avengers. He hasn't been gone for too long, for that long, if you go by comic book rules. And if Will Moss edited this comic, and if John Ridley understand the way time worked in comics, mistakes like that wouldn't happen. I'm not even terribly mad at the new villain made, who is the colonist. Like, I know why people get offended by the mere existence or mention of oppressive forces that deal against Africa. Oh, why are we bringing that up again? Well, this thing, here's this other factoid that I need to bring up to distract from the meaningful conversation that needs to be had. I'm not looking at it that way at all. Here's a new villain, new to me, the Buffalo Soldier. Let's see what he's all about. He has the ability to shoot at T'Challa and catch him off guard from the side, which is an amazing feat because, he's supposed to have super reflexes, and in this open field, for him to just be shot up at the side like that and be taken by surprise means that there's really bad writing, or the Buffalo Soldier is sneaky. So we'll see if they make sure that the Buffalo Soldier is sneaky. He's on top of a huge buffalo, or a bison. I forget which one it is, but I think they're the same thing. That's the story. Issue number 12 has been advertised already. This is the cover of issue number 10. but issue 12 has been advertised, and on the cover of that, you're gonna see T'Challa, and he's gonna be getting like stalked by, not stalked, what do you call it, kicked out from the Avengers, and that's the cover that Alex Ross did. Does it look beautiful? Yeah, but the way that it was characterized in the solicitation is like he's out of Wakanda, he's out of the Avengers, he's not a team player, he's all alone. I'm like, bro, you guys know he's a superhero, right? Did you forget that? He's actually liked, and it'd be nice to see him win and do nice things and inspire. But right now it's just for the character. Issue 12 usually is the last one. They don't do issue 13s, and I think that John Ridley will be issue 12'd, and he'll be out of it. Logic and reasoning should be thrown out the window. I'm using numbers as if they matter, as if they had a 6-issue first part. No, we had 6 issues. They sold the trade paperback 1 to 6, and the story wasn't over. It had 2 more stories to go. Why? Because guys are not editing, writers are not writing, people are not thinking over at Marvel Comics. The people who should be writing Black Panther are the same ilk, the same hiring process that goes through for Captain America, for Hulk, Thor, Amazing Spider-Man, not just any Spider-Man. No J.J. Abrams alternate universe Spider-Man where the book is just called Spider-Man and has no ramifications on anything in Marvel, but like the true Wolverine, the true like the process of who you hire for Iron Man, like that should be the same. The X-Men writers should be the same as Black Panther. You don't just put rookies on them. People need to have proven themselves in another Marvel comic to get to the Black Panther. And they don't have to be black. I, Chillmonger, do solemnly swear that I will not be upset if the new writer of Black Panther is white. I, Chillmonger, of House Wakanda, first of his name, will not be upset if the writer of this comic book series or anything Black Panther related happens to not be a dark-skinned individual. I, Chillmonger, House Wakanda, father of Panthers, breaker of Comicsgate, will be happy if the writer of this comic book is a top 5 writer. I, Chillmonger, do solemnly swear first of his name, father of Panthers, the unmonetized. I do solemnly swear that I will celebrate if the artist used for the Black Panther ongoing series is someone who has been part of the Amazing Spider-Man, part of the Hulk, or an artist or regular artist for the X-Men. I don't need John Ridley or anyone who just fits the description to write these fake comic book characters. Hey, if we're doing this, no more Americans writing the Black Panther, okay? Because it is the scripting, man, the scripting. I'm joking, of course. Of course, an American can. I just mean that the influences that John Ridley has been borrowing from feels like they're from his own or from his own experiences, rather than opening his mind and being like, how would people who are part of this other country, never been colonized by Wakanda, by anywhere, how would they think? He doesn't think that way, or his writing doesn't seem to reflect that. I'm not a fan of this writer, nor is a lot of other people. Go to Twitter right now and say John Ridley on Twitter, see what happens. More negative than positive. And they'll be talking about this more than any movie he's directed or anything. Fairly, it's not like he has an active movie in theaters now where John Ridley's name would pop up for anything else but this comic book. I am Chillmonger. Second review here for this comic book here, this Black Panther comic book, which I will continue to still buy, even though I'm not supporting the story, because I don't think that if I stopped buying these and the variant covers, I don't think that the message will get across that his writing sucks. I think the message will get across that the Black Panther series doesn't sell. Why give a good writer on it? Let's just keep throwing rookies at him. That's what I feel CB Sobolski and the people over there at that publishing company will believe. I wish I could tell them otherwise, or I wish the message could get across that his writing stinks and not Black Panther isn't very sellable, profitable. Okay, here I am. Second review on this book. I did a first review on it. Read the description if you really care. But damn, I'm out.